circumstance whatsoever under which I will bear false witness against the president, nor will I make up lies to ease the pressure on myself.
Former Trump advisor Roger Stone, looking like he just came off the golf course, just came out of the courtroom defiant, saying he will not testify against the president after Bob Mueller sent a swarm of armed FBI agents to his house before the sun was even up. Now, Stone remained resolute earlier tonight with our own Tucker Carlson.
I will not quit. I will not fold. I will not bend. I will not bear false witness against the president. I intend to fight because this indictment is fabricated.
Joining me now is Roger Stone's lawyer, Tyler Nixon. Tyler, thanks for being here. You've had a very long day. I want to read something, though, from the indictment and get your reaction. Here's the quote. After the July 22nd, 2016 release of stolen DNC emails by Organization One, which we've learned since is WikiLeaks, a senior Trump campaign official was directed to contact Stone about any additional releases and what other damaging information Organization One had regarding the Clinton campaign. Tyler, who directed that campaign official?
Well, that's a mystery that I think remains to be seen and remains to be discovered. And thanks for having me on, Laura. I appreciate it. It's been a long day for sure. This witch hunt that's been going on has been taken to the extreme. And as we know, Roger was carted off from his home in early raid, pre-dawn raid, in a manner that was reminiscent, frankly, of a police state rather than a free republic in which we live. And I think it was disgraceful. You and I share, I believe, the alma mater of Mr. Mueller, the University of Virginia Law School. I think Mr. Jefferson would be standing with Roger Stone today rather than Robert Mueller in what was done to Roger Stone. You know, it's hard to say because there's so much fabrication and so much insinuation that has gone on with this case. We've been close to the details for a long time. I've known Roger for years. And this is just, it really is Kafkaesque. It's Orwellian. It's Rousseauian, frankly. It's a lynch mob.
Okay, so let's get into, though, the specifics here, because I think a lot of people watching Fox tonight, they're worried. I mean, they're worried. They see a friend of Trump's arrested in a pre-dawn raid. Of course, it was ridiculous, okay? I was a criminal defense attorney. In a case like this, you notify you. They would have called you up and said, we're going to bring him in. It would have been arranged. Would have been no big deal. I mean, if he was going to destroy documents, he's had like 2 years to do it, okay? If that's what he wanted to do. So this is patently absurd. It was all to put pressure on him. I've seen this tactic so many times in the past. It's patently obvious. So we've all established that. But on the facts of this, lying to congressional investigators, lying to any federal official, it's a process crime, but it's also a crime. Did your client commit a crime in answering questions about documents that he had in his possession that might have indicated an intent to facilitate Russian interference in the election?
Absolutely not, Laura. I mean, this has been hashed over by Roger himself over and over again. The bottom line is I reviewed his testimony, which, by the way, has been held secret in the Intelligence Committee, the bowels of the Intelligence Committee, since it was given in September of 2017. Allowing the Democrat members of the committee to mischaracterize the testimony and characterize Stone, Mr. Stone, as having lied or perjured himself, as the case may be, because he was not able to refer to the testimony and it's still yet to be released. Yet it was released to Robert Mueller. Roger gave truthful answers and accurate answers with the information he had at the time. You know, in the interim time, for example, there has been discovered materials, including a cell phone, which contained texts, for example, with Randy Credico, which exonerated Roger. Roger's all along stated that Randy Credico was the intermediary, the
he denies that. But he denies that, right? Didn't he tell
yes, Credico has denied. That's correct. He's denied that all along. He's lied all along because there are texts that clearly show that, yes, he absolutely was discussing WikiLeaks and Assange.
Let me ask you a question about what happened this morning, because I woke up way too early for having a late show, and I saw this thing blowing up, okay? I see the agents in there, like, banging on the door. It's like the TV show, banging on the door. FBI! Like, someone's going to pull out a Uzi cops or something on them. I'm sorry, but it was ridiculous. I felt bad for the FBI guys, because it was pathetic. So when they go in there, Roger's like in his bathrobe, his pajamas. What did happen then? Tell me exactly. They read him his rights, obviously. What did they start going through? They were there for hours. So they pulling up floorboards? Are they going through the ceiling panels? Obviously going through hard drives? What happened?
I'm at a disadvantage not being on the ground there in Florida, and I haven't gotten those details. Obviously, we've been dealing with other aspects of the case, and of course the media.
You haven't heard it. You haven't gotten the
maelstrom.
details about what happened in your client's house.
They haven't, as far as I know, they haven't even been back to his house yet because they were still going through it. Last I spoke to.
Okay, so he wasn't there. I was wondering if they gave you any indication, or so he hasn't even been back to the house. The news media is all over the place because I think regular Americans want to know. Okay, when the government comes after you, rightly or wrong, what happens inside the house? But I've seen it. They pick up everything, go through everything, but they were there for hours. Tonight, how is your client doing? We saw him on Tucker. How is he doing? Does he feel like he's in legal jeopardy? Alan Dershowitz, I got to play this for you first, Tyler, before you respond. Alan Dershowitz tonight spoke about the possibility of flipping your client. Let's watch.
Stone doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's going to easily cooperate, but well, look, when you're facing long prison term, the most loyal of people turn to themselves and say, I have to look out for myself first. Cohn said he would never testify against Trump. He would take a bullet for him. And now look what's happened. So you never know what's going to happen when a person is arrested for a myriad of crimes.
Tyler, reaction.
Roger Stone has, he has said repeatedly that he would not bear false witness against the president under any circumstance, and that's what he would have to do in order to in any way implicate the president, because there is no Russian collusion, there is no conspiracy with WikiLeaks, there is nothing that has been contrived out of thin air in this witch hunt, this hoax really is what it is. He would not do that, and he's not Michael Cohen. Roger Stone, ironically, as you know, Laura, is really one of the most honest people that you'll find in politics because he's truthful about himself and who he is and what he does. He's a hardball Politico.
He's been around for a long time. He has a very interesting and colorful past, but so do all of us. But I've got to read his last book. You learn a lot more about his thinking. He's very worried about his financial situation. Obviously, you get paid. Lawyers cost a lot of money. Tyler, you could have gone on any show tonight. We really, really appreciate your joining us. Come back. This is going to be a saga that continues, and we appreciate it. Get some sleep.
Andy McCarthy is a contributing editor at National Review, a former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, one of the most eloquent writers on law and justice there is. Andy, thanks very much for coming on. So assess these charges, if you would, as someone who has brought charges within the context of the broader investigation. Do these charges bring us closer as Americans to understanding how our democracy was hacked in 2016?
No. I think the takeaway, Tucker, with due respect to Mr. Stone, and this is obviously of immense importance to him, to the country, it seems to me that this set of charges underscores what seems to have been obvious for over a year, and that is that there never was a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Kremlin to commit espionage. It seems to me that that is something that's been obvious to investigators for a very long time. And this latest set of charges indicates that they not only were not in cahoots with Russia, they didn't actually know what WikiLeaks had. Right. So, as you pointed out in your interview with Stone, there's no charge in the indictment that Stone, who's facing 7 felony charges, was in any kind of a criminal conspiracy with WikiLeaks. All this is about is the process of investigating the so-called Trump-Russia conspiracy, which it seems to me not only didn't exist, but they've long known that it didn't exist.
I'm fixated on the CNN tape of this raid on Stone's house this morning because I think, like a lot of people, I looked at that and I thought, this is not at all the country that I grew up in or want to live in. If a prosecutor says we go to the house of a 66-year-old man who we know doesn't have a passport or a gun, who lives with his older wife who's deaf and their dogs and cats, and we need 27 armed federal agents, each with a sidearm and an AR-15. Is there anybody who says, you know what, that's just wrong, that's overkill, we don't need to do this, it's actually dangerous? Why are we doing this? Why wouldn't anyone push back against that idea?
Yeah, I don't know, Tucker, because this is not the first time this has happened in this investigation. When Paul Manafort, when there was a raid on his home in Virginia, it was on the night between 2 days when he was cooperating with 2 different congressional committees, and it was under circumstances where the special counsel's office knew his very well-respected lawyers in Washington and could easily have called up the lawyer and said, here's a subpoena, these are the items we want. There was certainly no reason to do it the way they did it. And here, today, what happened here seems to me to be complete overkill, to take somebody who is at best what you would think of as a white-collar criminal, if he's actually guilty of the charges, who's committed process crimes, and treat him like he was a mafia don or Osama bin Laden, to me just seems to be crazy. And the proof is in the pudding. If you really think this guy is either a danger to the agents who are conducting the search or a risk of flight, one thing you don't do is agree to let him out on his signature to a $250,000 bail bond. I mean, he either is this evil guy or he's not.
It kind of reveals the motive, doesn't it? And finally, there's been a lot of debate today about how a CNN producer with a camera wound up at the scene at 5-something in the morning. CNN has an explanation for it. I don't know if it's true or not. Is it plausible in your mind that a prosecutor in this investigation would tip off a news organization? I mean, if you're going to conduct a raid like this, presumably you're doing it for shock and awe. Would it be so strange to let a news organization, a sympathetic one, know?
I don't think it would be strange to do that, particularly under circumstances where it looks like there was a lot of orchestrating the media response here. As I understand it, the raid began at 6 o'clock. The press release was issued at 6:17, I think Catherine Herridge said, this morning. So that obviously is suspicious. I'm also aware of investigations where, for example, the media finds out that there's some leak in the investigation. The media finds out there's going to be a raid, and the government makes a deal that they can be on the scene as long as they don't leak the fact of the raid so that people get a chance to escape. So until we know all the facts, I wouldn't jump to conclusions.
No,
but
I'm
it's
not.
very suspicious.
I'm not. But what you're describing is its own form of collusion, I would note, if true. Andy McCarthy, thank you very much.
Collusion's a very loose term there, Tucker.
It is a loose term, and it's a common phenomenon here in Washington, I can tell you. Thank you very much.